Hi folks, it's October the 31st, 2025. It's about 12:15 in the afternoon UK time, although it's going to be a couple of hours before we load this. And the moon has just changed sign and moved into Pisces. Now, before I get into the body of this email, just a quick advertisement. A number of you have contacted me in the last 48 hours and go, look, I really want to come to Shifts Happen to the microcosm that we're doing in a week's time, but you're in a different country. Are we going to be recording it and or streaming it? We are definitely going to be recording it. We are desperately trying to organise the streaming as I speak, and at the moment there's a 75% chance we are going to be streaming it, and we'll certainly have an answer on this at the very latest by Monday morning, hopefully within 24 hours. So if you go to the link in this box underneath, it's an updated link containing all the different shifts things that are coming up, and there'll be a button for you to join the waiting list. So if we do stream it, those of you who are on the waiting list will get the first option. There will be a large but limited number of streaming tickets available. Okay. It is Halloween. But wait a minute. Halloween comes from the ancient Celtic, the origin of it comes from the ancient Celtic translation of this is Samhain, or as it's phonetically expressed, Samhain, but Samhain. And originally, in the old Celtic calendar, there were only two seasons, summer and winter. Samhain and Beltane. Beltane is in around about the 5th, 6th, 7th of May. And that's when you get the Beltane fires with the young bucks jumping the fire, and the person who jumped the highest fire would get to lay with the maidens. And then the babies would be conceived and they'd be born 9 months later in the second week of February, just in time as the ice was beginning to retreat. So the babies have got 9 months to grow before the next winter. But winter would start at Samhain. Now, Samhain is, astrological Samhain is when the sun is at 15 degrees of Scorpio, which is always about November the 5th, 6th. Rather than October the 31st. But what happened is that the Catholic Church in the 7th century, having tried for hundreds of years to get rid of a lot of old pagan festivals, realised that they couldn't. It was so deeply embedded in the Celtic mythology. But what they did is they moved All Saints' Day to November the 1st, with the hope that it would supersede Halloween or Samhain. Thus, October the 31st became Hallowed Eve. They're getting ready for the celebration of All Saints' Day. And that got abbreviated to, of course, Halloween. Now, Halloween was when it's believed that the spirits of the dead would be at their closest to earth. The veils between the underworld and the overworld would be at their thinnest. And it's the transition between the light and the dark. And of course, there's big bonfires at Halloween and at November the 5th, which happens to be full moon this year. So that's going to be quite special. And of course, in my country, November the 5th is when we celebrate the attempt to burn down Parliament, or the prosecution of those who tried to burn down Parliament. And there's often where people would wear costumes, animal skins, to sort of scare the spirits away from taking their children. And as it particularly Halloween spread into America, the settlers of America realised that pumpkins were a lot greater in supply there than turnips, so they would carve effigies into the turnips, hence the jack-o'-lanterns. But there's a deeper meaning. Beltane and Samhain are fertility rites. Beltane in terms of conception, Samhain as it's almost like harvest moon in that it's the last big feast before winter, before all the food is put away to be cold over the winter, and then you last 3 months from Samhain through to Imbolc on the stored supplies. if Samhain comes from the original Celtic, and by Celtic I probably mean Irish, it deals with the notion that this is the time when the spirits of the underworld, of the dead, can reach out. And it used to be a really beneficial thing because the spirits of the dead would come and dance with the living. But then the Christians got hold of it and it became involved as some type of satanic ritual. And actually it's not. It's a celebration of mortality. We're heading into the dark, into the underworld, at least in the northern hemisphere. We're heading into the 3 months of the darkest time of the year in the north. There's a very valid case for people in the southern hemisphere to celebrate Halloween around the time of northern hemisphere Beltane. That's a subject for another time. But the idea of heading into the underworld, going into the dark willingly, with bonfires blazing, costumes adorned, and enchanting our way into the dark. There's something very symbolic here. And of course, the middle of the dark is the winter solstice. And I've always observed a ritual of wherever I am, whichever sacred site I go to for winter solstice, I always get there in the middle of the night, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I walk to it in the dark. And then sunrise occurs, celebrate sunrise on the solstice, whenever it might be, and then I walk back in the light, because that is the start of the returning light. But certainly the 6 weeks between Samhain and winter solstice are the dark, both metaphorically and physically. Now, I have a lot of problems with so-called light workers. I'm a dark worker, that's why. I mean, I go into the dark and pull people out. And if you can't deal with the dark, don't deal with the light. And the astrological link to all this is the eightfold path, splitting the chart into 8 segments, starting with winter solstice, then Imbolc, spring equinox, Beltane, summer solstice, Lammas, autumn equinox, Samhain, and back to winter solstice. And astrologically, these are 45-degree segments. But every year, the configurations of the planets in the sky at Samhain are different. And I'll deal more with that when we get to November the 5th, November the 6th, and the full moon in Taurus. So if the full moon is going to be on the 5th, and I believe it's at 13 and a half for Taurus, that suggests that Samhain will be on the 7th, early hours of the 7th, or late evening on the 6th, depending on your time zone. This year, it changes by 6 hours each year until we get a leap year, and then it jumps back a day. So this is a time of not feeling afraid, not feeling scared, not feeling the terror, but of embracing the dark, both physically and metaphorically in your soul, going into the long dark night of the soul inside yourself. And doing a kind of 2 to 3 month ritual detox, a purging, a detoxing, a cleansing, a purifying. Getting in touch with your own unconscious, going to bed earlier, sitting around the fire, sharing stories, beating drums, chanting, opening doorways to different frequencies, different dimensions that are normally less available, because the veils are thinner at Samhain. And yes, Samhain has been moved, courtesy of the Christian Church, to the end of October, very start of November. So it's a bit of a fallacy. Nevertheless, the fact that millions, billions of people around the world will celebrate it in some shape or form does imbue it with an element of power. So I urge you all tonight, tomorrow night, whenever Samhain is or Halloween is for you, go out into the dark, have a little bit of a howl at the sky. And when I say howl, give me 10 seconds. Do it in style. Scream, yell, howl, drum. Get in touch with the other world. And scare the hell out of your kids while you're doing it. And have fun. Catch you later, world. Enjoy yourselves. Bye.